Let's see here. Um, God, I don't know why these jobs. Well, I'm incorrect. I know why they like putting people to work on the weekend, but it still annoys me because I really don't enjoy giving up my Saturday, and it's one of those things where a lot of times these places know they can have you, 5 days a week if they want, but they'd rather try to squeeze you in at a time where most people would rather be at home sleeping or having fun. Just like somebody could say, oh, you only have to go in at 4 o'clock, so that would give you most of the day. But it's like, yeah, but then you factor in how far it is, which means that you probably really just have the morning and a little bit of, and like a piece of the afternoon, the early afternoon, and you have to head over there. So it's really not that much. I was really I've noticed the new pattern I have is that every Saturday and sometimes Monday, depending on if I do the stream in this format. And normally I don't do it like this on Monday because, um, just my condition, right, with having people around here getting up at 6 a.m. to do stuff. But I noticed a new pattern where it'll be like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'll just, after wrapping up a stream, go and get some Starbucks. Um, and I'm not even a really big coffee consumer, but they do have one drink up there that I like. Uh, and it's incredible to me how sometimes I kind of like argue with myself on if something is truly ridiculously priced. Like, do I think this drink is so amazing and great that I can't get it from can't get anything of any similar taste from somewhere else? No, but do I think it's excessive when compared to other things? Not necessarily. It's really just some of the food items they have up there for like $3 and $4 and $5 that kind of drive me nuts a little bit because I think those are for their size not worth the price. But it's hard to walk away from that place without spending like $10 each visit. So I don't know. I guess my job spoiled me with the discount where you get half off. So I tend to go up there and get two of something so that I'll have some to eat when I before I go in, and then after I leave or later on in that night. I don't know. I think a lot about the prices of stuff, and now gas is going up again to the highest price it's been since November. And me and my friend were discussing this a few days ago. We were talking about how it's so interesting that people will find themselves driving around just the whole like city for gas stations that have the lowest amount of price per gallon, right? So like right now the average I've seen is like 5.8 or 5.20 or something, right? And you go to some places where they have it for 4.79 or 4.99. And we made a point of saying, it's sad how people will like seek out all of these alternate places to get gas, but they're really not saving anything. They're getting like a few pennies, like a half a dollar, a fourth of a dollar off. I just find that really sad. And it's a big part of the reason why I don't even tend to go anywhere besides to the job because it's just these gas prices get more and more ridiculous. And every time it looks like things are getting better and they're decreasing, nope. Last year they were as high as $6 a gallon. Then, right around the start of this year, they were dropping down to like 3.89, and I was getting so happy because those are the lowest I'd seen them since my trip to Alabama last year. Alabama and Georgia. And ever since then, they've just been spiking back up with each passing month. And it's really infuriating because, I mean, who wants to go anywhere when every time you think of heading to a place, you have to say, well, let's see, this is 10 miles to go and then 10 to come back. So that's 2/3 of a gallon, which will cost me five something to recuperate. It's not fun to have to crunch the numbers like that. And I do that a lot at this point because I said before, this is the second consecutive year of me having no support. So I have to always make sure that I stay within my budget at all times. And that's not always easy to do because there's so much stuff out there that's just so tempting. You know, you look at it, you say, oh, this looks nice. This looks cool. But sometimes you have to show some restraint, no matter how much of a sacrifice it may be to you personally. I have to tell you, it's one of writing scripts for videos is so fascinating because you'll have these periods where you just can't think of anything, or maybe you have like an idea, but you can't fully express it, whatever. And then all of a sudden it'll be one day you're like, I know what I want to write. And you just start typing it out and keep going and going and going. And I have the script for when everything started crumbling, leaving nothing. At this point, pretty much entirely done. I think at most there might be one extra piece I might add. And right as I was getting confident with it, I'm about to start recording it yesterday, people start coming to the place and they just completely destroy my ability to record it in here. And that's not even counting the damn documentary. I mean, I finally finished writing the whole script for that. That thing is scripted for it is 22 pages long, and in the 12 font, that's about, I'd say, an hour. I'm gonna say an hour and maybe 5 minutes. Some amount of over an hour. That's the bare estimate I would make, just going off of my experience with Google Docs and the size of scripts determining how big the video is. And I have a few clips I want to add in there too. So I think it's going to be probably around an hour and 5 minutes to an hour and like 15. Just this is my prediction. Could be wrong, but I think it'll be at least an hour from as big as that script is. And what's really lame is that I finally finished writing out all the pieces yesterday. I asked this person, hey, are you going to go anywhere else? Because I want to record this thing. And nobody can ever leave. And on a weekend, it's even more rare that they're going to leave. So that basically forces me to have to wait until Monday, possibly Tuesday, to even be able to make this thing, or at least record it, and then finally be able to start editing it and putting the pieces on. Because I said before, the hardest part of doing a documentary is always the writing. When I sit there and I go and read through some hundreds of pages long book, it's always writing, summarizing it, and then when you get to the editing, it goes by much quicker after you record everything. And recording can be tough too. Sometimes you can't pronounce a name correctly. Sometimes you have interruptions, or you have to get up and do something, and then it messes with the audio. There's a lot of just stuff that happens when you're doing these things. But I'm trying, and that's as good as I can get. I just hope that it'll be appreciated. It certainly looks like this will be the highlight of the month for me, because I get into some of this stuff in the other video, just talking about how insane it is that you think when you get hired somewhere, everything's going to suddenly start getting better, and that was not the case. Not at all. Yeah, I think part 5 will probably be the most, I'd say the longest part, not by that much, because I have at least one video I wanna add in there of him getting interviewed by, Cronkite, and then probably part 6, there's a good chance that might end up being longer. I guess the way I have it in my head right now is that 5 is the, last 3 years in the Senate, which is a brief section, and the 1960 campaign, which is the majority of it. Then part 6 is the vice presidency, and then everything that happens in Dallas. Um, then part 7 would probably be the highlights of his first year, because I don't think I can do this in the way I wanted to, where it just kind of goes issue by issue. Um, I'd say you have to start with the aftermath of the assassination and then just work your way from there. And a lot of the books I have tend to be formatted in that same way, where it's just in chronological order of events instead of, you know, the issue by issue thing I prefer, which is kind of frustrating because I really I like it when someone can just click a part of the video. Okay, I want to learn about this particular topic. How did this come to be and whatnot? I don't really enjoy going year by year because I think it's harder to pick out which piece you might be the most interested in listening to. But what can I say? Carol's book doesn't look like it's going to be completed anytime soon. Still no release date, even the last volume came out 10 years ago. And Dalek's book has it that way, so I'll probably be using that one for more portions of it. Also, I think today is the Nixon death anniversary. Let me see. Uh, it's either today or the. Okay, no, it's the 22nd. All right, I knew it was either today or Monday. Yeah, Nixon and my great grandpa died 2 days apart, so I get them mixed up sometimes. Just because of how back back to back it was. But no, I did my first community post in 4 years. I was like, hey, so what documentary do people want to see after LBJ Part 5? And it was really funny. I almost just wanted to put a fourth option for Carter, but I don't think I'm gonna try to do him before Nixon. Like, I think of the ones where I've done nothing relating to them so far, that's the one that calls me the most. It's just that in terms of making one on him, it's going to be a little bit more complicated because I'll probably end up using 3 books: his memoir, um, the Conrad Black novel, and what's the other one? I believe it was Stephen Ambrose. I'll use the 3 of those, at least for part 1. Then for the other parts, we can get more into. I think it's probably going to be one of those things where for most of the pre-presidency stuff, I'll use books, and then when you get to his actual like time in office, I'll go and look up articles and just see if they can offer any more details that the biographers might cut out. This stuff can. I'm really glad that I decided to handle things in this way, where you just kind of go piece by piece, section by section, because that original plan of just making some 5, 6, 7 hour video and nobody watches it. Like I couldn't stomach that. So much effort. I wish I could juggle. Every time I start to think of, oh, maybe I can take the ball and, you know, uh, tap it. I just keep imagining it falls or makes some big noise, and I don't want to risk having that happen. As tempting as it would be to just start trying to juggle it around. But no, I've really tried to keep this going. I got a little mm, uh, not as motivated to do it in the last month or so, but over the past 5 or 6 weeks, it really started picking up, and that's what I find so tragic about the documentaries, where I know that if it's my sole focus, they're not going to come out weekly, but they can come out probably at a minimum once a month. But it's just having to drive over to the job, and then whatever other stuff you're doing, it factors in, and it makes it harder to just directly focus on it. Mm. Yeah, I already know today is going to be another one of those days. Driving to that job again. I just hope they don't pull the same stunt that they did last week, where you pick up a shift on Saturday to try and increase your hours, whatever. And they're like, okay, thanks for coming Saturday. Now you don't need to come on Sunday, and just delete you off the schedule. And they don't even like call you or tell you. You just look on your schedule and it's gone. And then the other trick they pulled this week is that I had a coworker who was, I guess, incapacitated, didn't really feel like going to work that day, so he asked if I could cover him. And I had applied for another person's shift about 4 days in advance of that was like set on that same day, and they never approved it. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. I guess they don't want me. So I came there to cover the other guy, the the one that asked me instead of the one that I applied for days in advance. And there was like this big debacle of, who are you covering? Who are you covering? And I kept saying them, I'm covering this person, this person, this person. Like, just same guy over and over. Um, and apparently they tried to tell him that they were going to give him some points, or he was going to be in trouble for not showing up, even though the point of us covering each other is so that the other one doesn't get in trouble. Um, so it was just weird. So I said a lot of strange things happen up there. But he thanked me, and I told him I had no problem with doing that. But here's where things get kind of funny. So you cover this person to try and pick up some extra hours. You already worked on Monday, and then you work on Wednesday, and they tell you you're going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then after covering that person on Tuesday, you look on your phone, you refresh the tab, and your shifts for Friday and Monday all of a sudden are deleted. I tell you, with this place, you take one step forward and two steps back. And that was the point I made in that video that'll be out this week, where it's like, I literally have not called out sick one day since I started working there 5 months ago. I have always been available whenever they wanted me to come in, except for the only time I didn't come in when I could have gotten an extra day, extra hours, whatever, was it was a Monday, and it was after I had the tooth pulled, and I just didn't feel good. I I literally had the tooth pulled and went to sleep after that. It was just just too much. And but that's what I'm saying. Outside of that one instance, anytime I've been offered extra hours, I always take it. They have to do something really crazy, like schedule me to come in at the last minute. Uh, and that's again because it's like you guys know I don't live around there, so it's like a recipe. It's like a self fulfilling prophecy of, hey, person, you better make sure you show up, and then you tell them at the last minute. So of course they're going to be late because they weren't given any time in advance to know that they were coming. So I said these places are run by some very bizarre characters. They do some strange things. They make no sense. But I see that runs in both the management and the people at the bottom too. Yeah, there's a whole section on her in there. I just felt that I should update it. I think this is almost like a sequel to the train wreck video, kind of in a way. But I don't know. Things are just it's hard trying to work somewhere, and they want to give like every time you turn around, they're trying to cut your hours. Oh, you want 30 hours a week? How about 20? So I said every time they increase the wages, all that happens is they just barely want to give anyone any time to even benefit from that. I already said the only way I can think of a solution is to just go and like mass apply for other jobs and then just kind of like only work for them on the days where they schedule you, and then the rest of the week don't even bother trying to pick up anything else. Because I feel like they have this belief of me as being desperate, which is not far off. Uh, but in having that belief, they're okay with just being like, "Oh yeah, you thought you were coming tomorrow?" No. And I'd much rather work on Sunday than Saturday. I mean, Saturday is the day I stream. I mean, like I mean, it's just I've always preferred Saturday to Sunday. Even though I was born on a Sunday, ironically enough. So it just seems like every time you try to pick up shifts, they do something to make it to where you don't benefit from it. I actually forgot to mention this. The lady with the nose ring, she had some shift that she wanted somebody to pick up, and I applied for it and picked it up for her, and it was interesting her reaction, which was just like to not say anything. Like everybody else I do that for says thanks, appreciate it, etc., etc. Um, I even had one guy offer me a gift card, and I didn't even know it was like who he was. I just applied for it, whatever. I work an extra day, so it was just fascinating that the one of the rare times where I cover for a woman, there's like no appreciation, no thank you, nothing, just whatever. You just can't win with these people, man. Even when you do what they want, it's not enough. Mm. Mm. I don't know, everything just is so backwards with the way people are and the way these jobs are. Because I already said the biggest thing that's making me kind of like hold off on trying to get another one or pursue it like really aggressively is just the scheduling. crap of work at this place, at whatever time, and then the next day come up here at this time, and I don't like all the scheduling conflicts, because I'm always worried that the second job or the other job won't play ball with the fact that you're not available anymore. Oh man, and these jobs always want somebody in the morning. To me, that's the worst thing, getting off at like 12 or 1 a.m. and then having to go to some other job at, you know, 7 or 8. But people really, they really think of their employees almost like superheroes. Just, oh yeah, why can't you just work both jobs today? Work this one in the morning and go to the other one in the afternoon. Why not? No, I tried to have two jobs, and it did not go well. Like I said before, it was like the manager wasn't able to even comprehend the point I was making of, I'm working at this other place and you have me getting off at 1 a.m. to come over here at 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning. They just don't listen or care, one or the other. Usually both. God, I swear these places are just run by jerks. I'm reminded of that time I went to, was it McDonald's? And I was trying to get a shake, and they were like, "Oh, we don't serve them at this hour of night." And I said, "How crazy is it?" Because I remember when I was like mostly in eighth grade, but some instances afterward too. But like around that early adolescence period, I was getting shakes from McDonald's, not shakes, but the ice cream cones all the time. I used to love those. I would always get them with one of my grandparents. I just remember it would be a hot summer day. I mean, hell, in California, it's hot at all different. The weather just changes so frequently. We can go from raining one week to complete desert the next. But I remember on those hot days getting picked up after school. You want to go to McDonald's, get ice cream? Yeah, man. I don't know, sometimes there's just stuff you do where you think about somebody else. No, an interesting topic for a video for me would be the era of waste, and it would just talk about how people can be so much more than what they are. And I'm not even just saying that in like a general vague sense of the word. I'm saying that you look at interactions with someone who says they like you, for example, and you would think, oh, okay, this means we're going to actually have this evolve into something, right? We're going to sit here and talk and get to know each other. And, if we like speaking, this can turn into something more where maybe we hang out, maybe we actually, do stuff together. But instead, all that tends to happen is that the other person kind of just waffles away from associating with you, and you just go, okay, well, what was gained here? Like, if you ask somebody about where they live, where they went to school, their parents, their friends, their hobbies, their goals, all this stuff, and then the the conclusion to that is you saying, yeah, I'm not going to bother messaging this person anymore, or trying to talk to them anymore. It's like what came out of that? What good came out of it? What was the point? And that's one of the problems I have with a lot of these modern interactions. I so often find myself just wondering, what was the point? Like I said, if I sat here and wrote this script and then just decided, oh, I'm not going to make this, I would say, what was the point? Why spend so much time writing something if you have no intention of actually doing anything with it? I'm not writing this stuff for my health. I didn't have a doctor come forward and say, we think the way to get rid of your depression is to write things. No, I actually, you know, want to use this to make a video. Man, I'm telling you, things would be so much easier if I was alone. Just wouldn't have to use inside voices. We'd be able to stream whenever I wanted. That's the thing I miss about the old place, just having my own space. Like yeah, people walked in, interrupted, whatever, but I could just like pause the button. Um, but over here, man, there's always some reason to come in and bug somebody. It's really annoying. I've come to bother you. It's like, yes, I know, I know, I know. Unfortunately, I know. I need to be reminded. Yeah, there's just a real sadness to a lot of these exchanges. Like when I'm at the job, I have people who, they do the little routine of how are you and hi and all the rest of that. There's this one. She's been there since I guess the place opened a few years back. This one woman that used to say hello to me, uh, which I did notice because that was when I was first starting over there, and I was like picking up on the fact people just walk past you 100 times and say nothing. And literally, all of a sudden, she just stopped to where I directly asked her, like, "Hey, you know what happened? Oh, I tried to say hi to you and you ignored me." I was like, "When was this?" Because I can't remember. Like, I genuinely cannot remember doing this. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm like, well, uh, hell, bimbo. Apparently, it did if it caused you to just stop speaking to me altogether. But I thought about what the other one did, right? Where somebody talks to you and then tries to destroy you, to where it's like, you know what? If they don't want to talk to me, I don't even care anymore. Let them just sit there and be mute. Let them play Bumblebee from the Michael Bay Transformer movies. I'm fine with that. They want to sit there and plot your destruction via initiating contact with you, then let them just say nothing to me. I'm fine. I'm good. Let's all go to our corners. I'm just thinking if I do the Nixon one, because I always try to do part one as like the shortest one, just to kind of get started on the general direction of it. Um, I guess I'm trying to remember what was the year he was elected to Congress. I think it was 1946. So maybe his life up until he became a congressman would be a decent amount for part one. That was the case with the way I did the LBJ part one. So maybe I can do it for him as well. That's one idea. Oh boy, I just couldn't imagine starting all over again with somebody else. Because if part one is before he gets to Congress, then part two is probably going to be, because he wasn't in Congress for that long, probably the entire time he's in the House and Senate, and then part three would be the vice presidency, and then maybe the 1960 campaign, and then part four is his California gubernatorial bid and the years in between that, and then running for president again, except this time successfully. But no, I do like making these. It's just that sometimes you need a little bit more incentive. I guess the one good thing to come from them slashing my hours like there's no tomorrow is that I'm about 95% sure part five will be out this week. If I'm truly only getting 13, then it looks like I'll be able to make this. That'll be the one saving grace of this month. Because there haven't really been that many, if you catch my drift. It just seems like a constant stream of losses, and I don't even like saying L's, but that's what it feels like you get when you are involved with a lot of this stuff. No, I'm just debating the general order of this stuff. Like at first, I was thinking of doing Bush 43 with either his dad or Reagan, but I probably would prefer to do Rice at the same time as Bush, because that was the Secretary of State. And Rice, to her credit, actually does have a pretty thorough set of memoirs that kind of tell her whole tale. So yeah, she would be a very high contender if I branch out to non-presidents, which I would like to do. It's just a matter of, you know, how far do I want this to go? Yeah, I'm trying. That's all I can say. Even if it feels like every week somebody's trying to run me off a cliff or off a road, I'm still giving some effort. Oh man. Johnson is such an interesting character, and really, the one thing I will say is that if I'm only able to make one of these and see it from start to finish, I'm glad it was him. But I definitely am interested in making more than one. It really is just a matter of. What's what I said. Like a lot of them, I have like two or three different books I have to read through. Because I remember one of the things that was most irritating about Johnson Part Four was that I had to read through a 1,000-page book and not have it be, you know, extremely long. which I guess is kind of ironic when you consider that the 100 something pages ends up being around the same length as the 500. But whatever, whatever. Because like I said, when we get to part 6, there's really not much left until we're at the point of the stuff everyone's been waiting for. So I don't know. I'm just picturing doing a part 7 and a part 8 and a part 9. Like at this rate, like if you get one per month and it's just him, it'll be part 5 this month, then part 6 next month, then part 7, presumably, if there even is a part 7. That if I decide to split the presidency into multiple videos, like that could be anywhere from, like, you're already talking about the summer, and then June, July, August, and then you'll be at the anniversary of when part 1 came out. Like, wow, it really does take a year to make this type of stuff because it's just so much material. And hell, we might not even be able to finish it on that timetable. There might be some other stuff that comes up. I might decide I'm tired of I want to do somebody else. Free me from the shackles of LBJ, huh? Yeah, God, it's trying to make this stuff is interesting. I'll tell you that. Like I never thought I'd see adults who are so shocked to just see me with a book. Let's not forget uh, Mixed Signals Queen. You're reading? What are you reading? I remember this one person was like, "Why don't you make a documentary on World War II?" It's like, why would I do something that I don't think that I believe has been sufficiently covered by regular sources? Uh, like there are tele, excuse me, television produced documentaries on that conflict that are eons better than anything I could come up with. So there's no reason for me to bother making that. Um, I'm trying to think. That's one of the reasons why FDR wasn't as big of a priority for me as Johnson was, because he has the, like, I can think of multiple Roosevelt documentaries that are good. Um, so, and I really can't say that about Johnson. I don't. I can think of maybe one or two at most, and only one of them is about his entire life. And I think it really skims over the earlier sections in a way that I don't like. So it goes back to that point of how this is not just about, oh, I want to make my own thing and you get to hear my voice. And no, if it's someone or something that I think is underappreciated, should be talked about more, should be covered more, et cetera, then I'll jump at towards it or jump at it. People they just love sitting there and playing these games. As far as why don't you make this? Why don't you make that? It's like, why don't you watch it? Like if I made a top 10 list of the presidents I'd want to do one of these on, um, Johnson's obviously at the top, then FDR, then Nixon, then Carter. Eisenhower and Truman are in there. And if we include any more of the modern ones, probably just Bush 43. Like I prefer Bush 41 to his son any day of the week, and I do think he is one of the most underrated presidents ever. But I would be interested in 43 just to kind of like steer the ship and explain to people why he was not good, because there's been a lot of revisionist history that has occurred since he left office, and especially in the Trump era. So that would be one of the key reasons for doing that. But even some of the older ones, I mean, I really I probably wouldn't do Washington or Lincoln, because again, it's that same thing of just everyone knows. Well, they know of them. I'm not going to say they know things about them, which is sad. But I'd say I probably would rather do Jackson and like Polk or something. Like I tend to be more attracted to the ones after Hoover in terms of wanting to write stuff about them, because uh, these are from time periods that members of my family or I lived through. So it's a lot more contemporary, even if it's 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. Uh, but if you want to go further back than that, I'm always willing to consider it. No, I just hate that yesterday ended up the way it did, because man, those scripts were almost done. I was getting ready to record, and then everybody started showing up again. I said, "Curses, my plan is foiled." When just so close. Well, only thing I can think of is we'll try to take another crack at it tomorrow, and if it doesn't work out today or tomorrow, it's like for the whole weekend, then we'll inevitably get someday this week where nobody else is here, and that's when I'll be able to record this stuff. In the meantime, I'll try to start writing some parts for some sections of part 6, which I already have begun. Um, and then that way, the gap between 5 and 6 hopefully won't be as long as the gap between 4 and 5 or 3 and 4. I'll never forget doing part 2 right after I finished part 1, where it was like just blasting through that script, writing all that stuff. I felt like I worked harder on that than I do at my damn job. And then part 3 came out some weeks later. That's the one thing I miss about being unemployed. I could just sit there all day typing away. And I was ready to do that if it was something I was passionate about and I thought was important. They just drive me crazy. They act like you don't get paid to do this. Why do you get? Shut up. Not everything is about money. I even said before, like that's the biggest problem I have with the mundane existence. What's the point of living if all you care about is some green pieces of paper? And I'm the first one to say it's important, it matters, etc. But you know, I would hope I'd have other things I care about besides that. No, it's just it's interesting to see people just have a complete, breakdown of stuff as you just watch them. Yeah, I said thing I was most dismayed by this week was the hour cutting because again it's like why am I even working here if you guys are just gonna decide tomorrow, don't come the day after that, just I'll put it this way, if let's say someone doesn't schedule something because they think they're gonna have to go to work, um, what sense does it make to have that person think all the way up until the night before that they're going to work and then pull the rug from under them and be like, no, you don't have to go. It's okay. Stay home. Have a nice day off. Person that we told they were going to work for literally all from last from 2 weeks ago all the way up until the last hours of the day before, the night before. Let me see. Are any of the Starbucks open? Hmm. I don't think so. I know there's one that opens at like a few minutes ago, probably. Yep. Let me see. Is that the one I like going to? Oh yes, they have just opened. Terrific. There's another one that'll be open at in like 20 minutes. They know people are thirsting and all over for that stuff from the early morning all the way up until late at night. Honestly, if they were smart, they would make it 24/7. They would pull a 7-Eleven. I had this one relative. They're like, it's so dangerous to go to 7-Eleven at 3 in the morning. 4. I was like, do you not know that a lot of people just come in these places? I don't know. It's just it was so obnoxious because it's like sometimes a person works in the day, or excuse me, works at night, and they sleep in the day, right? Nocturnal, whatever. Um, Honestly, I see more people in there late at night than during the day. So they always have these warped perspectives that they try to impart on everybody else. It's dangerous. Everything is dangerous. There's a risk in everything we do. They really annoy me with that. It's like at some point you have to just say, look, sometimes a bad thing might happen. I'm not going to let it determine if I want to, go outside or pick up some coffee or get a drink or just like I just think that panicky stuff is really obnoxious. Like, get a life, get something to actually be concerned and scared about. Oh my god, go away. I much prefer driving at this hour anyway because there's less cars. It's actually less. I'd argue it's less dangerous to drive at like 5 in the morning than it is to drive 5 in the afternoon because traffic is almost non-existent normally. Like even in the busiest cities, people at this time of day are just sleeping. So you're not inclined to see anywhere near as many accidents or vehicular uh, altercations. It was actually nice the one time uh, be on the freeway and like not have to be worried of like, oh man, if I slow down, is a car behind me gonna crash into me? And you know, because no one was there. That was the one thing I liked about getting off at 12 or 1. When you like going over there at 5 and 6, the traffic is terrible and it takes way too long to get over there. But when you're coming back from that shift that ended at 11 or 12 or 1 or 2, breeze. I even said to my friend, it's crazy how fast cars are when they don't have any restrictions, like when they don't have anything blocking them, and 50 cars in front of them or 100 vehicles in blocking an intersection. It's fascinating just how much speed they're truly capable of. I just thought that was a point worth making. No, I don't know. I just couldn't imagine myself making a lot of these because there's a lot of work involved with it, and people just they don't really seem to be all that bugged about getting it. Is what I'm noticing. Like it's one of those things where it's like it'd probably be nice to see a different kind of content here, but as far as are we going to promote this? Are we going to comment on it, share it? Nope. And that's one of the most frustrating parts about doing this stuff, where you just start to wonder if anyone actually appreciates it or not. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. I mean, we already know from experience that people in real life can act like they appreciate you, and you know, have that not be the case. So it shouldn't be a surprise if somebody in uh, the internet realm is like of the same degree of trickery, where it's like, oh yeah, I like your stuff, ha 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 ha. Not. Said before, you can't trust anything. Not a single person, not a single claim. Just all of it is so made up and hocus pocus and hogwash. I mean, who would believe any of this stuff ever again? I swear, sometimes I'll have a bag and I just like, you don't even notice certain things about it. Like it'll sit there and you'll just go, that's a nice design, I guess. But as far as like, hey, this is actually kind of convenient. I like this feature it has on there. Very rarely does that come up. Mm. I don't know. I think I might end up making 2 trips today. Because for whatever reason, the 7-Eleven by me never has the damn pink donuts with the sprinkles on them, which are my favorites. They never have it. Every time I go in there, they used to have some old stale ones they keep outside for 2 or 3 days. And now you see them once in a bloom. But then when I go to other ones, because that's the great thing about 7-Eleven, they're all like right next to each other. Um, I've seen them. So it's just weird. Like the one that you are closest to can't be bothered to have this stuff, but then the one that is slightly further, it's like, oh yeah, we have it every night. And if they don't have it, I go to another one, because they're all right by each other. That'll be a fun quest to just go to all the 7-Elevens and see which one has what. Be like, I'm noticing your inventory is lacking some specific items. And then the cashier is just like, oh, well, go to them. That's something else we never talked about, just how people have, the mundane existence extends to where people just are angry and upset at customers for just asking basic questions. Like I mentioned that one time I went to go see Barbie, and I asked the lady if I could like leave and come back, and she was like, "As long as you have your ticket." And I just thought it was so rude and like bitter sounding, and it kind of like turned me off to even wanting to ask anything. And you're only asking so you don't get in trouble. Like, just jerks, man. That's why I said people are always in bad moods. They're always ready to fight. They're always problematic. They always want to, get upset with someone over something that really doesn't matter all that much. It's a sad state of affairs, honestly. It really is. These are some pathetic human beings. That's all I can say. They uh they find a way to be highly obnoxious. You just go up and ask a simple question. Hey, if I leave, can I still come and go and see a movie? As long as you have your ticket. Like I said, they act like you're just this big pest. Like, why are you even here? Why are you even asking me this, boy? Just constant bad moods, man. Every day, nonstop. But no, I see how people are. They're always ready to get into these squabbles. Pointing their finger and being pissed off. And I said before that I get that we all have days we don't feel that good, not as great as we normally do, whatever. I have those days plenty, but whenever I go to my job, I have always tried to take whatever things are happening with here and shove them in the back corners of my mind so that I may at least pretend for a few hours to not be this complete miserable uh, individual. And it seems like a lot of people aren't able to do that. I don't know. It just gets weirder and weirder. Oh boy, what else do I say here? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, nobody's showing up yet, so they're probably all sleeping. Which I mean, hey, it is what it is. I just try to get around, having to, because I don't mind doing it at later parts of the day, right? If it's like Monday, for example, I don't work. But it's just because every Saturday I keep like getting that extra shift, so I try to do it to where I can finish it and then go and sleep after that. Uh, so that's the big part of the reason why they've been occurring so early. But yeah, I think next, if I don't, oh man, it's like a cartoon. Right as I was getting ready to wrap it up, show up at the last second. But I fear I may have come too late. Hey, I should have, when you said hello, I should have said, hey, you're a day late and a dollar short, and then just cut the stream. just pull the umbilical cord. we have some updates on the insanity of the people that work at that place. I think you'll get a real kick out of this. Um, Now, at any job, still, I can definitely watch the replay. Been sometimes I attended your stream. Hope you've been good lately. Well, I mean, I kind of hit rock bottom 2 weeks ago, and it seems like things might be on the rebound, but we don't know for sure if we're out of the woods. And this will be explained more in that video I'm trying to put out. I just have to have somewhere to record it. But with any job, they tend to give you breaks, and during these breaks, you can go and sit outside. Maybe go to your car, sit somewhere in the restaurant, store, whatever. There's this one guy. I don't talk to him other than high and by. I have had no relationship with, and it's interesting because it's like I think he might, out of any of the people that have been working there since I started, be like the only one that I haven't really had any interactions with like a significant back and forth. Um, you'll never guess where he decided to take his break. So again, most people I've seen go outside, they go to their car. Um, I was cleaning some of the dishes, and some of this stuff you put in various places. Some of it you put on the rack beside you. Sometimes you put it in the freezer. And when I was taking some of the stuff to put it in the freezer, I opened the door and I saw him sitting in there on his phone, just like this. And he was actually sitting in the space where I was going to put the stuff. So he moved out the way for me to put it there and then sat back down. But I swear, in my 5 months of working there, I've never seen someone take their break by sitting in the freezer. And the disturbing thing to me is, like, personally, I just think it's really cold in there. But secondly, you would think the managers would say, "Hey, don't sit in the freezer during your break. Don't like just don't like sit in this cold, freezing. It's not the coldest weather, but it's not pleasant to be in there for any prolonged time. Like, don't sit in there for the entire, for really for any duration of like the time where you're off. You're supposed to be relaxing. Why would you want to freeze yourself?" They didn't say a word to him from what I could tell. He sat in there for the whole 10 minutes and then just got up and went back to work. And I pledge to you, been there 5 months. I've never seen anyone else take their break in the freezer. Everybody else goes outside. They sit somewhere inside the place. Sometimes I go to my car. Sometimes I go outside. Sometimes I do an assortment of those three different things. I've never seen anyone else just, oh, I'm on break. All right, let me go sit in the freezer, staring at my phone, playing with my hair. Like, okay, that is extremely weird. I've never heard or seen that. I know you were hoping you get some updates on everyone's favorite recurring antagonist, Mixed Signals Queen. Well, there's not really much to report. I mean, we've mostly been keeping away from each other. I told you after the March 23rd massacre, I was done. I threw my hands up. I said, forget it. But there is one thing that I thought you might get a kick out of. So for a while, every time I come to this job, they would tell me to take out the trash. And I told you before that I thought it was the most obnoxious thing because it would interrupt whatever else I was doing, and a lot of that stuff is heavy. And they always have the same like 8 or 9 guys doing it each time. So 2 Saturdays ago, I see her grabbing some of the trash, and she's taking it to like the back area. And I'm thinking, okay, she's gathering some of this stuff up, and they're going to tell some of the guys, probably me and somebody else, to come and throw all this out, right? And there's some other girl, woman with her, whatever, and they go into the back area, and somebody asks her, "Are you guys going to take the trash out?" And she says, "Yeah." And I'm still thinking like, okay, she just means she's grabbing it, and then she's gonna like send it off to some of the guys, right? They're gonna like have them gather it from inside, and then me and somebody else or whatever will take it out. But when she closed that door, I went like this, and then one of the managers, he was like walking past me, and I asked him, who's taking out the trash? And then he showed me on their security camera, because it has like 14, 15 different screens on there on one screen, right? He was like, oh, her and you know, he's like mixed signal screen. And I'm not kidding. This was let me hold on. This is me. If you don't understand why it's so cathartic, that the one time I see some women taking out the trash, it ends up being one of the few up there that has unequivocally wronged me. I don't know what else to tell you. I couldn't believe it. He saw how the grin I had. I was doing my sinister laugh. And they were out there for a while, man. It was like 30 something minutes before they came back. Like I damn near thought she just gave up. She said, you know, this is too heavy. I'm not even gonna bother. Because I said before, most of the stuff that they have the guys lift, if you put multiple, oh yeah. Well, Megumi, one time they had me take the trash out, and there was so much of it that it was going up to the roof. Like the entire room was covered with stuff they just let pile up from like I think the morning up until the latter part of the afternoon, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So me and the guy who did that, we took long because there was just so much stuff. And you don't get a break after doing it either, so it's like even more just irritation. But man, when they went out there, I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen women take out the trash, but that Saturday I did, and I was smiling from ear to ear. I looked like an anime villain. I was just I still can't believe that happened. I told the manager, I said, I don't know which one of you guys sent her on the to take the trash out, but I want to give you a Christmas card. When they closed that door, the hair on the back of my head stuff was like, what's going on? And I asked him, I said, hey, who's taking the trash out? And he showed me on that camera and pointed at it. She must have been really struggling. Funny how they have that footage of her doing that too. Oh, they record us all day long. That's one of the reasons why when she made her stupid report, I said to the lady, I was like, well, it's crazy to me that you would work a job where you get recorded from when you walk in there to when you leave, and you're so camera shy at the possibility of being recorded by a coworker. Like you're already being recorded by the job. The only thing the coworker's doing that would be any different is they have audio of you. Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching that footage. Seeing Miss dolled up, caked up and fake up with the, Wolverine fingernails, Edward Scissorhand fingernails, having to lift that stuff. It was cathartic. Because my thing is, I, I don't pretend that stuff is easy to lift. Some of it is heavy, but I'm not Superman. Like there was a point at that job where every single damn time I would show up, Take the trash out. Take the trash out. Gather up the trash. Take the trash out. And again, you don't even get a break after doing that. So it was nice seeing one of the, you know, the person I felt wronged me have to do something I'm really sick of doing, and you couldn't triangle your way out of this. Oh, I never mentioned this, but one time me and this guy were taking the trash out, and there was like a pack of, I think, some fries, and like one of them fell out of the bag, and I picked it up to like put it back in the bag, and he took it from me and put it in his mouth. And he admitted that when he has washed the dishes, he'll like eat pieces of the food out of there. It really grosses me out, but whatever. Um, I told you that there's a lot of weird stuff that happens up there, just things that I don't understand or really want to personally delve into. As far as like, I can't comprehend why you guys act this way, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. My favorite interaction with her since we stopped speaking probably is, it's probably a tie between when she spilled that stuff on me and thought it was so funny. Sorry. Uh, or hmm, what's the other one? Oh yeah, when she was asking me about like if what type of dishes I was washing, and I answered her, and then she came to the other person I was with and asked them the same thing, and then I answered her again, because it was like I literally answered your question, and then you try to like go around me, which is what you already wanted to do, just to have me answer again because the other person kind of doesn't really want to speak up that much. So it's like I answered you twice, and it took two replies for you to hear me through the haze of your hatred. Like, she despises me so much that she would rather just block out what I have to say than to just, okay, thank you for answering my question. Definitely weird. Some things you'd never usually ever see. So much weird people with strange behavior. And you know what? All those weird people, I would take them any day of the week over her, because the guy that ate the fry off the ground, I haven't seen any reason to believe he's going to stab me in the back. The one that sat up in that freezer, we generally get along. I mean, high and by, whatever, but still. So even though that place has some weird people, she's still the weirdest and the probably the worst one that's there as well. Oh, and also I was going to mention this because I thought it was funny. So around this same period, they had me and this other guy. Me and him frequently get paired together washing dishes, and she came up to where we were, and I think he initiated speaking to her. He was like, "Hey, how are you?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm good. What time are you getting off?" And then he told her what time he was getting off, and then she told him what time she was getting off. And I was thinking about it because I'm like standing right next to them, like he's in the middle of us, and I'm like, does she think this is gonna make me jealous? Because here's the part of that that was interesting that she doesn't know about. The guy that she was asking the question of, like, what time do you get off and how are you doing, and he doesn't even know her name. Like, when we were talking to each other later, he because they had us that same day take out the trash. he made a comment to her as we were leaving, like, "Don't forget us." And I asked him, I didn't know who he was talking to because I was kind of like away from the door, and he was like, "Oh, I think her name is." Shikori, that's funny. Where like she presumably was acting interested in him as a way of, I guess, making me, because it's like right in front of me, right, like, ignoring me. It's like making me jealous by pretending to have this friendly rapport with the other person doing the same job as me. But then the twist is that he doesn't even care enough about her to know what her name is. I'm gonna make Justin jealous by talking to the other person washing dishes and asking them what time they're off and how they're doing, just like I used to ask him. But then, oh wait, they don't know my name. Oh, still, I said, nice try. I remember when I didn't know her name, I actually I gave her a nickname that I would just like mention it around the different people, and then finally when we started like actually picking up in terms of our interactions, I asked this guy, I was like, "Hey, what's her name?" And then he told me what it was. So that's why I said I wouldn't be surprised, or I would take the guy at his word when he's like, "I don't even know who that is," because that's just that's just like a repeated pattern with her where you don't know her name unless you get it from somebody else. Her head should be examined. I'm sure it'll be very fascinating to see how it works. Oh, trust me, if you open up her cranium, you're not going to see. If you see a brain, that thing is like the size of a damn ant. Like there's. Also, I was going to tell you that she has an evil costume. So, like, sometimes when a good guy becomes a bad guy, they switch costumes. This place has like five different uniform shirts in terms of the colors, and she and I used to have the same three of, it was like red, gray, and blue. And we actually, it was like a running gag where sometimes we would like coincidentally have the same one because we always had like we always like had those same three that we would, alternate between, just like by happenstance. And ever since Mixed Signal Queen, did the March 23rd massacre, right? I'm watching a video. Uh, she has a new hairstyle, which admittedly, I like whatever. And she only ever wears the red shirt. And I said it's befitting that she would only wear the color that's associated with Satan. She did such a great job in making sure the devil was laughing with her behavior. And she has a new hat too. I'm serious, man. She wore the same hat every single day from when I first started working there all the way up until like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And now it's a different one and it's a different hairstyle and it's the same shirt every day. Coincidence? I think not. Man, I'm telling you, I'm just glad the revolving door of her is over. She's still funny to just observe and look at the little stupid stuff she does. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. I almost forgot. There's one more thing we have to mention. Dude, I tell you, there's so many little like she messed you around. She messed you about for too long. Yeah. Well, uh, I forgot to mention this, like, because I was just thinking of all the little like separate specific instances with her. Um, so the the Saturday I did my "We're Going as Friends" right stream was followed by 3 straight days of us working together, like working at the same time. And I established right that that Sunday I didn't talk to her. She stopped talking to me. Whatever. It was like mutual contempt. Um, but the Monday after I did that stream, after she stood me up, she was late. And where I am is like an area where when people come in, they have to like walk past me. And when she came in, she had the headphones on to like drown me out, right? Or just to like not hear me. And she was late by about 10 minutes. And one of the managers like ran to her and was like, "Hey, come on, you're late. Come on, hurry up, hurry up." Because it was like a big rush, right? Come on, you gotta go, we gotta go. And I just thought it was funny. I was like, wow, you really don't care, because they don't play about being late. If you're late, I think 7 times in 6 months, you're out of there. So about now I remember it was after she made her report, and after it either was before or after I like directly tried to appeal to her and say, I'll give you my phone or whatever. They had me come in at 11 in the morning, and she came in at the same time, or was scheduled to come in at the same time as I was getting off. And I said, okay, well, it's when it hits the hour of me, time of me to leave, I'll say hello to her and then I'll leave, right? Whatever. And I look on the thing and it goes to the time, then 5 minutes pass, then 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, I guess she's not coming today. And then I go out, as I'm standing outside with talking to this guy, I see her pull up in her car and I'm like, oh my God. And I said hello or whatever. And she just kind of like glared at me. And I didn't take it personally because, you're late. Your other priority is to try and like run in there and, whatever. I get it. Or at least I was sympathetic in that regard. So 2 Saturdays ago, and I think this was the same one where they had her take out the trash. We were both supposed to come in at 6 o'clock. And of course I showed up on time. I have to drive an hour plus to get over there, so I'm always on time. But 6 o'clock comes and goes, 5 minutes pass, she's not there. 10 minutes pass, she's not there. 20 minutes pass, she's not there. 30 minutes pass, and I'm figuring, oh, she probably called in sick, because that's like a little game she likes to play of, oh, I don't feel good, that scam. Dude, 6, I look to my side and I see her come in. I turn back as quick as I can, and I look at the clock. It's almost 6:40, and she finally has shown up. And I'm just like, do you have like a job suicide mission? I mean, what? Because you remember, these people live around there. I don't. So like, how do you show up late, that damn late, and just act like whatever? Um, I'm telling you, I I notice her being late more than I do with other people, because admittedly I do check on there to see if we're gonna have the same day, because I do want to know what kind of aura I'm gonna be around that day after, but I was shocked. I was like, I've never seen somebody come to work that late. Like, directly seen someone just show up 30 minutes late, 40 minutes late. People don't care, man. They get a job and they don't mind just throwing it in the trash. But I know it was that next day she was not late at all. I bet they said something to her. She definitely must have misjudged the time she would arrive because of how close she lives to it. I told my one of my relatives about her being late, and he was like, she must have 9 lives to be able to come late that many times, and he compared it to the boy that he used to know that lived across the street from the school. And even though he's like right by the school, he's always late. There was another guy that was late one time by he was supposed to come on, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, one of the weekend days, right? Because he's underage. And he was supposed to come at 12 o'clock. He didn't show up until 1:30. They said that his alarm's battery went out. So when it was time for him to be at work, he was just like, and then he doesn't have a car, so he had to like jump on his skateboard and slide over to the job. And they said that when he appeared, the manager wouldn't even look at him. He just went like this. And I'm just imagining it's like, oh, he's gonna be here at 12 o'clock, right? And then it like, like a jump cut where you cut to something happening at the same time. It hard cuts to 12 o'clock on his like phone or whatever. It's like a circus at that workplace you're at. Oh, that's not the end. I mean, I told you this is the only job I've seen where you can get in trouble for standing next to somebody. So, uh, I said before that like the only thing they're missing is the damn red, red, orange, yellow, green, blue hair and the red nose and the big shoes to complete the aesthetic. I'm not kidding. One of my relatives literally said the exact same thing upon hearing about all the crazy stuff here. Like said it sounds like a circus. Like, yeah, it was hard to disagree with him. There's another guy. Um, I guess he had a. I don't know what I don't remember what exactly his story is, but he was in something on. It could have been on YouTube or Spotify, and it got over. I think like 40 million views. Some music video or something, right? He's not a rapper or singer, but he was like in the video, prominently featured. Da, da, da. So one day, I see him crossing the street, and I'm like, I run up to join him because I'm gonna say hello, whatever. And all of a sudden, like two or three cars just stop, like for him. And I'm telling you, these drivers over here are jerks. They will run you right over and keep going. And they stopped for him. And like at least one of them honked, and one of them pulled out a piece of paper with a pen to get him to sign for them, and he went over and signed it. And the biggest just case of insanity was that they have this where I do the dishes. They have like a clock back there. I would look at sometimes. I want to see like how long it's been, what time is it, etc. And he had this rack of food, and I don't know. The area is small, so I get it. Even though I still think he could have avoided doing this, but he like pushed it too hard against the glass that has the clock on it, so the glass just like broke off. And the manager was in the office, like heard this noise when it was made, heard the glass like fall on the ground. And he came out there and he asked him, "Did you do this?" And the guy's like, yeah, like kind of nervous. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll delete the footage." And I'm not kidding. One time that guy came, he wasn't as late as these other people, but he was late by maybe like, it could have been 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Um, and one of the other managers was like, "Hey, you're supposed to be here on time." And that's that same one that let him get away with like breaking the clock. He said in rep, so like when he okay, so when he shows up late by a few minutes, one of the managers is chewing him out for being late. The other manager comes up and says, "Leave our crown jewel alone." and told him they were going to find a way to like erase that off of his record. So I guess this shows you. See, there are rules for famous people, and there are rules for me and the rest of the unknowns. When you get famous enough, you can pretty much do whatever you want. This guy was in this music video that had however many millions of views, and now he gets treated like royalty. Every time I see him, like, hey, we're gonna roll out the red carpet. Yeah, they can do that. They can delete footage. They can go back and play stuff. I tell you, when that idiot tried to say that I was making her uncomfortable, they grabbed the video from several days earlier where I'm sitting out there reading my book, just like this, and then she comes outside and says, "You're reading," and I put my head up, and then she comes and sits close to where I am. So they have footage of people from days ago, weeks ago, months ago. I'm telling you, there's rules for famous people, and there's rules for for regular people, and no rules for famous people. When you get famous enough, you can pretty much do whatever you like. He can show up late, and they'll tell him that they'll find a way to cut it off the record or scratch it off the record. Uh, he can break store property and just kind of like get a slap on the wrist. Hey, we'll take care of it. I mean, it's incredible. I would be panicking and shaking in fear if I ever broke something up there. But his worries were alleviated very quickly. Those famous people, man, they have that strong plot armor. It's not as strong as a woman's plot armor, but it's pretty effective. He really was like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll delete that footage." I'm just imagining he goes in the archive and just there's this big skip of like 10 minutes. I tell you, they get away with anything up here. Triumph of all forms of reality, consequences that would usually befall a person. Not him. He gets to sign his autographs and show up to work a few minutes late if he wants to, and break stuff if he so desires. Uh, and he just gets away with it. I actually saw. Well, I see her every week, but I was. Damn, I think she might have. I think I may have seen her late at least 4 times now. Yeah, I have because when she um on Tuesday I took somebody else's shift and we were both supposed to come in at the same time. That's one of my favorite things where we're supposed to come at the same time, and then of course I show up on time and I'm like, where is she? And then I find out I start to think because of how long it's taken her to get there, maybe she called in sick, maybe she doesn't work here anymore. Another little theory I can spin. And then after like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whoa, here she comes, right? And that's what happened on Tuesday. And I'm like, man, some of these people really just feel like they can waltz in here whenever they like. It's crazy. I'm not kidding, man. I'm aware of the repetition of bringing this broad up over and over. Um, I've tried to cut down on it. Like I said, that place is a lot of weird people there. That's just the one I had the most investment in. she'll be featured pretty prominently in the next edited video I have. Everything started crumbling, leaving nothing, and that should be because I view that video kind of like as a sequel to Trainwreck because if you remember, Trainwreck came out on a Friday, and it was within hours of that coming out that I found out she had reported me. So I just kind of want to do like an addendum, like add on to that, um, because I don't feel like that's been covered in a scripted format the same way that all the other stuff with her before was. It's gonna be a long time before I go over that broad, man. I even say in the video, I can't think of another lady I met in real life that treated me this badly. I'm not even being funny. I think if you trace the chicks all the way back from when I was in middle school until now, you'd be hard pressed to find one that was like, hey, person that I know in real life, I'm not going to let you hear my voice over the phone. I'm going to stand you up at the last minute. I'm going to start ignoring you because you got mad at me for screwing up our rendezvous. After we start speaking again, I'm going to turn the idea of going to see a movie with you into a Charlie Brown tries to kick the football where it just never happens. You're supposed to just keep hoping and hoping for this thing that I'm going to keep making sure doesn't happen. And then when you get sick of that, I'm going to play the victim by saying that I thought you were recording me, so I felt uncomfortable, so I can try and get you to lose. Just really lousy stuff, man. Honestly, it is understandable given just how much you invested with this chick and how unique she has been compared to others you interacted with. Very unique, man. I really like, I'm not kidding. When I had the thing with Miss Revolving Door last year, I thought that was the end of like the weird chick stuff. I said, okay, I'm done with these computer broads. Um, there's going to be no more sitting up and trying to talk to one of them and getting so invested in because it was a similar thing of like you spend so much time with this person and start to believe them when they call you their friend and they act like they like you, and then when you get that knife in the back, it's like, really? Because you're used to it from the ones that you want to date, not from someone that you just want to be friends with. Like it's so funny. I hate to make a comparison like this, but you remember how like in the Cell Saga they keep hyping up Goku versus the androids. When Goku gets better, he's gonna say, and then like it never happens because by the time he wakes up and is able to like actually fight again, all the androids are gone except for Cell and 16, who can't even like do anything to him anymore. Um, I kept imagining meeting her at the movie theater. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm gonna go see this, and then maybe if she didn't want to see a movie, we could just sit there and talk. And I just think it's crazy how like I kept picturing this thing of like hanging out and going to see a movie together, and it never happened. All the different times that it was like something that I thought was feasibly going to occur just never panned out. It was all just her flapping her gums and trying to dodge doing something with me that if she really didn't want to do, she could have just said no. I'm telling you, man, when I thought of when uh she would sit there and talk about, I'm not a very social kind of person. I believed it because I didn't see her talking to anybody else on during her breaks or outside of like little like high and by type stuff. But when that guy said, I'll pick you up at 8, and she said, okay, I felt like I'd been slapped in the face. Like they'd always say one thing to me and then do something completely different. And it's like, just tell the truth. Like, why is it so hard to just be honest? I don't want to go see a movie with you. I mean, like these bastards act like you put a pistol to their head. I just don't understand why people are so allergic to the truth. Yeah, I really wish more people were just honest with others. And that's why I told you she just like broke my mind in terms of wanting to have anything to do with those chicks up there, because it's like if all this bad stuff can happen because a woman agrees to go see a movie with you, I mean, at that point it's like when a woman declines doing something with me, should I dance in joy at the prospect of her not wasting my time? Like, I only what I'm saying to you is only through a backwards series of dragged out nonsense like the thing with the mixed signals queen could you actually start to steer me in the direction of almost hoping and praying that if I ever get the nerve up to ask some woman to go do whatever, that they say no and then I don't have my time wasted. Like that's how backwards things with them are. Where like now you prefer to get rejected because at least that's something you know is not going anywhere versus a person who keeps telling you, I'll let you know, 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 I'll let you know. I don't know, I'll let you know. I saw her sitting out there as recently as, like during her break or whatever, a few days ago, 3 days ago. I didn't have one instinct to go and try and sit by her and ask her, "Hey, can I talk to?" Because what's the point? I'm watching a video. Imagine, like, from just I'll put you in my perspective. Imagine being someone who tends to really only do stuff on their computer or phone if there's no one around to do things with. And when you're, at your job, you're speaking to people. If they're around you, you have some banter with them. There's even a couple of people you have like running gags with certain jokes that you kind of carry on. And you have this person that very often, because you guys have like concurrent shifts, you get breaks together. And you're like, hey, why not sit together and just talk and have a decent rapport, possibly? But they'd rather stare at their phone than give you the time of day. Uh, Something that they can do at any other part of the day, but they need to do it specifically right now because you're such a nothing worthless pest to them that they'd rather just stare at this device than even give you a second of their time. And you know damn well that if the situation were reversed, you would have took your phone and stuck it in your pocket and listened to them talk about whatever for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's just sad, man. Like, that to me is the most depressing part of this, where you crave basic human interactions and it's just always denied, even when it doesn't make any sense. I tell you, the same broad that not even 2 months ago was sitting there smiling at me, laughing, coming to sit by me, and uh, saying that we were friends and trying to ask me what kind of stuff I draw and do what would you like to all these different things, right? Within a few weeks, won't even give you the time of day. You might as well be dead. So he plunged the knife right through my chest, murdered me, and didn't even flinch. No remorse shown. In the last 6 7 weeks, whatever. So much animosity for no reason, man. You get lightly teased for 7 minutes, so you want to try and destroy somebody. and having them lose their livelihood. Like I said, they're just scum. And the thing is, things could be so much better for both people. Absolutely. So much better and beneficial for both sides. I told you, I would trade every streaming video I've done her just to go and see a movie. That was all I wanted. I didn't talk to her so I could have it fail and then have content for my video. No, I it literally was. I like this person. I like speaking to him. Hey, why don't we do something outside of here? But again, she torpedoed it. Started getting weird. Oh, I don't do calls. We're going as friends, right? Then found a way to do the backdoor two-step exit at the last minute. Uh, just a bizarre. Like, I'm not kidding when I tell you, I truly, if I ever for what, and I don't think I will, but if I ever for any reason feel like asking some woman up there for a number or to come and like, I don't know, hang out with me, and she says no, I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna probably clap my hands because I'd rather be rejected by every single broad on this goddamn planet than have one of them do to me what this one did over the period of 2 months. I'm serious. Like this is worse than being turned down by somebody. It's a dragged out saga that doesn't benefit you at all. And it's like I'm gonna keep saying this. You put all this time into this person and they don't give a damn about you. Like, I can guarantee you, if the situation were reversed and it was me sitting here and, telling her, I'll let you know. And then she made fun of me for, you know, making some weird face when she asked me if I would respond to a text message and uh, just doing the stuff that she's done, right? I would never in a million years think, even if I got mad at her making fun of me, I'm going to try and get you fired. I'm going to try and get you written up. I'm going to try and get you destroyed because I couldn't handle 7 or 8 minutes of being teased. But no, what I'm saying, Megumi, like, and this is something that these computer clowns don't get. How screwed up is it that this broad spent more time with me than damn near any other person at that job I worked with for that period of late January up until the beginning, really from the start of this year up until the March 23rd massacre. And in all that time, in those 3 months of highs and buys and questions and all the rest of that stuff, she so quickly could just completely despise me to where it's easy for her to just walk past me and say nothing. It's easy for her to try and get me in trouble. You get where that's disturbing, where it's like the one that you spent the most time on trying to build something with, it was the easiest for them to try and rip you apart and tear you down. That should send a chill up everybody's backside. It's like, so I guess all that stuff about getting to know a person and uh, spending time with them and again like being friends, it doesn't mean anything. Like I said, you could have one of these broads hug you on Monday and plunge a dagger right through you on Tuesday. Just total betrayal, man. And you're left scratching your head like, what was the point? Dude, right now, there are two different women at that job I like. There's one that she almost always works in the morning. And there's another one. She and I had this thing where like when I ordered something or came in there, she was just like turn to me, we both shake our head at each other. You know, pretty woman, whatever. I'll admit, I like the way both of them look. Whatever. I certainly like that you can actually tell that's what they look like when they get out of bed. They don't have all that damn. But even then, it's like I wouldn't think in a million years to ask either of them for their phone numbers or to hang out with me. And it's not because I'm shy. It's because of her. I don't want a repeat of this. I don't want Mixed Signals Queen the spinoff. Like, it's extremely scary and very sad. It really does boil down to them not caring at all, not one iota. I told you that was why I had such a problem settling with only talking to her at like I know it makes me sound like this obsessive crazy person, but if you're someone I actually want to talk to, I'm going to try to hang out with you outside of here, send you some messages, maybe call you. And with her it was like I may be some really sought after thing when she's clocked in, but the rest of the week she doesn't give a hoot about speaking to me. You send her a text message, it could be a paragraph. She responds with a sentence. You send her a sentence. She responds maybe twice a day if you're lucky. And it's not like this bastard is some minor that has her phone taken away at night. She responded to me one time at 2 a.m. And I made a comment about that, and then she didn't respond for the rest of it. So it's like I just got sick of like basically of just being a toy. You're like this little marionette puppet toy that they get to pull out to play with when they're at the job. Oh, he's making all the jokes. He's smiling at me. He's having banter with me. But then, oh, you actually want to become friends with me and do things outside of here? Well, suddenly I'm not a very social kind of person. I'm not a call person, and I don't really text. And God, man, like just constant pushing away. And I just got sick of it. Like, when does it stop? Too many lies, man. That's why I said to them, you're just a toy that they pull out when they're clocked in, and then for the rest of the week you get stuffed back in the box. No, when I heard I'm watching the video, I just put that chair back in and went outside. I was disgusted. I said this person would rather sit here and stare at her stupid phone that she has on her all day, every day, at every hour of the night, than talk to somebody that she's only around a few hours a week. Somebody that was readily willing to forgive her for trying to possibly have him thrown out dead in the middle of the street. Let the shoe have been on the other foot, and I reported her for something. I would have never heard the end of it. And not a single person would justify me and say, "Oh, he made a mistake." No, I'd have to. I could probably get on my knees and beg for her forgiveness, and I still wouldn't get taken back. Like I said, man, when I first stopped speaking to her, I thought I did something wrong. I said, man, I was too harsh. Yeah, she stood me up, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, maybe she really did go to whatever, whatever. But when that second, when that do over started and I kept getting I'll let you know, and then a week passed and nothing, he was like, yeah, this is dumb. They can call me an I word all they want. It's the truth. modern chicks, including the ones that you sit here and talk to and have smile at you and call you their friend and whatever, whatever, they don't care about you. That's just reality, man. Like Megumi, I want to ask you: do you think if, and I have this in my video as well. I'm gonna, like I said, it'll be out in the next few days. But like, do you think if, let's say, her report was successful and they were like, "Hey, you recorded this broad, even though I didn't, but whatever. You recorded her. She felt uncomfortable. Get out of here." Do you think she would say, "Oh, damn, I was upset that you recorded me, but I didn't want you to get fired. Hey, I'll help you get another job." Or I'll tell them like, "Hey, don't do that to him," or I'll try to like tell them that that's not what I wanted. I just wanted you to delete the thing if you had it. Do you think she would go out and say that? Do you think she would say, "Hey, you know what? Uh, this has gone too far. This is beyond what I would have ever wanted." Do you think she would apologize, say, "Hey, this is not right. I don't want you to have no livelihood and possibly have to live on the street when you can't afford anything because you don't have a job anymore because I made my stupid report"? No. You know what her response would be. She would if I got fired because of her, she would act like I didn't even exist and then go right back to doing the rest of her, usual two steps of taking orders and staring at her damn phone all day long. They don't have that same level of remorse or conscious what they've done wrong to a person. No, I said they're demons. Like they're not evil in the sense that they'll go out and do something violent, but they're not good people either. They're these immoral. Uh, I called her a plague because that's exactly what that type of person does. Just parasite, man. I've had plenty of problems with people at jobs I've worked before, people I didn't like. I've never tried to get anyone fired. Certainly not over. I thought they were recording me. And like I said, if you can be treated this callously and with this much malice by a broad that you poured all that time into, who's to say it doesn't happen again? Like I said, two of them up there I really like. Uh, and I wouldn't in a million years try to get their numbers or try to like hang out because what's the point? Why start this again? And somebody will sit here and talk about, "Oh, you're negative." It's like, no, I'm trying to protect myself because once more than one of them does that, they try to establish a pattern. They try to say, "Oh, look, more people are coming." It's like, no, it's just them being stupid. But that's the real reason. But again, this is the one broad in all my months of being there I let my guard down with, tried to become something more with, and it blew up in my face. And I'm not interested in having in starring in Trainwreck 2. Just lousy, man. Just lousy monsters. It makes you not even want to bother trying to form something meaningful with them ever again. No, what's the point? Just like I told you about the broad. I'm not kidding. After Miss Revolving Door did her thing, I have not had a single other woman that I've met online where I've like had those like calls with and spoken to damn near every day. And that's over because I don't trust that if I try to get that close with one of them again, oh, here comes the boyfriend that thinks I want to date them even if I live hundreds of miles away or whatever, and then they can't stand up to the guy and tell him you're being an idiot in this case. So they'll just, you know, throw me out into the gutter dead so they can keep up their little stupid love affair. Each bad experience makes you more bitter and cynical. Yeah, because you're not a little kid. You've been through this before. Like, I was so caught off guard by her because, again, people in real life do not treat me this way. I can't sit here and tell you about, oh, there was this one woman who, you know, I used to talk to her back when I was in like ninth grade, and she wouldn't let me call her. And she said that when I asked her if we go see a movie, she kept saying, "Yeah, we can," but every week she was so busy. Like that has never happened before. I've never just been strung along for such a prolonged amount of time by another adult. Like, yeah, teenage girls do stupid stuff, but you know, that was back when I was. I mean, I even back then, this type of thing still didn't happen. Even they were more assertive and like, you know, back when I was in high school. Hey, want to go on a date? No, okay, whatever. That was it. Oh, by the way, Megumi, I have a pink bag, so you can accuse me of being gay because that's what everybody online likes to do. You can join in the festivities. Dude, imagine like the parameter for being considered attracted to other men is not to be seen making out with other men, lusting after other men. All it takes is like the color of something. Like just for people to think, oh yeah, this person is that. It's amazing. No, those bad experiences pile up on you. I'm telling you, after this, you're more likely to see Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 than you want to see me ask another woman to go see a movie with me. Hey, after this, you're more likely to see Matrix 5 than you want to see me ask a woman to go see a movie with me again. I always liked the color pink, but I recall even some women being very surprised at the mere thought of guys liking the color. Mostly girls like even purple. Yeah, and it's so weird too because it's like, how do you own a color? Like a lot of boys like blue, uh, or red, but when a girl says she likes red or blue, no one says she's acting masculine. It's weird, man. No, I really like pink. I wouldn't. It's probably um it would probably be in my top five favorite colors. Uh, it's nice. It's like a lighter version. Well, I mean, it is a lighter version of red. You know, red and white mixed together. So it is sad that it gets like stereotyped more, really way more than other colors. Very unfortunate. I don't know. Maybe Barbie had an effect on me where that's where it moved up some rankings. I'm not even kidding. I ordered a pink blanket because my one of my blankets is like, it's not small, but it doesn't cover me all the way, and I'm already imagining a certain goofy person trying to make a big deal out of it. Why'd you get a pink? I can already hear it. Whatever. My phone is rose pink, and I have a pink cover for it too. Well, back when we were discussing the amazing uniqueness of women's clothing, and I'm not saying that ironically. We talked before about how they have like all these unique different styles. Um, I found myself gravitating towards a lot of the like you know gowns that were pink. Like I just if it had pink as one of the available colors, which a lot of them did, that would be the one I tend to like the most or want the most. So it's a really nice color. Um, and I do hope that someday the stereotypes surrounding it, which I do think it is going away more and more because I've seen guys wear pink and just it's whatever. But I just think it's funny. This person is there's something wrong with him. Why is his bag pink? You just can't win sometimes, man. But no, I'm slated to see her again today and tomorrow, and it'll be real fun to see if she comes late for this for the what sixth time, seventh time. And that's what I thought was so disturbing. Like those are only the times I'm aware of because I've been there. In the past, they would schedule me for a lot of the like 6 p.m. shifts, and she would get there before I did, so I didn't even know if she was actually showing up on time or not. So she might have been doing that for an even longer amount of time. But yeah, man, I tell you that broad has really done a number on me in terms of just it's like every time I think I've seen it all from chicks, they find a way to like outdo each other, you know? Like I remember 2 years ago when we had the broad that asked me on a date, right? And I thought, okay, that's weird. That's never happened before. Maybe, just maybe this might end differently. And then you saw it happen. Oh, can you meet my parents? I want to talk to you before I want to get to know you before we go on a date. Yeah, it's like, okay, goodbye. Like they always find a way to just keep making this more and more insane and incredulous and backwards. It's impressive. Like some of this stuff, I wouldn't even believe it happened if it hadn't happened to me or to just like having the proof of the messages. They like generating a lot of barriers and obstacles. They do, and it's so sad too because like I hope you understand in dealing with her, the mixed signals queen and Miss Revolving Door. I want you to understand that it's now shattered that last beacon of hope I had where it's like, okay, you can't have romantic relationships with these crazy chicks, but at least you can be friends with some of them, right? You have similar interests, similar hobbies. And I'm telling you now that you that's not even possible. Like with Miss Revolving Door, I didn't even see what this lady looked like. Never cared to see what she looked like. I just enjoyed talking to her. We had these great calls. She said she liked them. And the whole thing gets blown up because she can't tell her boyfriend, "Hey, you're he doesn't want to date me. He lives literally hundreds and hundreds of miles away." So she generated those barriers and obstacles, first by ignoring me, right? And then she would start speaking to me again, make it seem like things are going to be better, and then she goes back to him, right? I just got sick of the. That's why I called her revolving door, right? Of I like him, I don't like him, I want to talk to him, I don't want to talk to him. Just okay, let's just not talk, just go away. And then with this coworker, man, it's like, where do you even start? Like, I really thought back when I asked to go see a movie, we would just pick a day, a time, and go see the movie. And then if she liked it, do it again. She didn't like it, never have to do it again. But instead, she stood me up. And then even after we started speaking again, she didn't want to stand me up again, so she just wouldn't commit to. I it's and it's like, don't you think sometimes? What are they thinking? Like, what's going through their mind? Like, did she really believe I was just gonna sit here every single goddamn week and ask her, "Are you busy? Are you available?" And she would say, "I'll let you know," and that would be enough. That like I would just never catch on to her not telling me that she's supposedly busy or not busy. Like that's why like I said to her, like I know people up here think I'm dumb, but I'm not. It's like I don't fall for that stuff. If you want to hang out with me, just say it. Damn, people make everything so much harder than it needs to be. It's pathetic. I don't like you. Okay, say that. Don't sit here and act like you like me by agreeing to do stuff with me or not closing the door on it. I tell you, there were chicks on Discord that were just like that, where I would say, "Hey, you wanna like watch a movie sometime?" Like where you do the screen share thing, and every time one of them would say, I had at least two or three of them that were like, maybe at some point, maybe some of that effect, right? And every time they say that, they never do it. So I even told one of them, like, look, don't get me excited at the prospect of us actually hanging out if you're just gonna, duck me or dodge doing this thing with me. That's why I said it's all just so fake, man. Like we truly live in the era of waste. People just sitting around trying to like get something out of you but not give you what you want and then hoping that you don't catch on to their scam. This is why, while I know around 20 or so years ago had their own share of troubles, but I feel this stuff wasn't really a thing back then. Hey, I'll put it this way: all that internet stuff was definitely not a thing back then. Like I guess it and dude, even like the staring at the phone thing was not a thing back then. People didn't even have like smartphones until what, 13 years ago, 15 years ago. Like it even that's like a relatively recent thing. So a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen if we were talking about the 90s, early 2000s. Like this wouldn't be the case. That's why I said the modern woman is just like a creation of a really rancid era. Like she herself feeds into how bad it is and gets like fed by how bad it is. You might get a kick out of this. I certainly did. One of my coworkers, this guy, he randomly asked me how old I was, and this is a place that likes to hire minors. Um, but it's obvious. I feel like it's pretty obvious that I'm not. Uh, and I was kind of I asked him like directly, like why, because the only way it would make sense for me to see a coworker ask how old I am is if they want to tell me something dirty, or if they're trying to like ask me on a date or so. Like it doesn't matter. It's not it shouldn't be something that they would even feel like they need to directly ask me about. So the guy starts trying to guess my age, and I'm not joking. I didn't say anything. He was like, I think you're 16 or 17. And I just burst out laughing. And then he was like, oh, never mind. You have a full beard, 19. I laughed for a few different reasons. One is that if I were 16 or 17, that would make the mixed signals queen predator, because she would have agreed to go see a movie with a minor. But secondly, I'm just imagining working at this place 10 years ago or 9 years ago, and it would have been a whole different ball game. I could just picture, like, after that broad made her report, my grandpa would come to the place, be like, he'd take his glasses, like, you want me to believe that he was harassing some girl that was so stupid that she's on camera coming up and sitting by him? They would literally have, like, parent manager conferences where, like, my grandma would just be like, so you're trying to say that that Justin wasn't doing his work, but if you guys don't tell him how to do something, how's he supposed to do it? That doesn't make any sense. Man, I'll put it this way: I get a lot more entertainment out of this place, because seeing them clash with this would have just been comedy gold. So that's why I laugh. Like, just imagining working there 10 years ago, it would have been completely different. This whole ganging up on me and trying to, like, oh, let's all ignore him and say nothing to him. They would still try it, as far as, like, the people that work there would still act that way, but it would be a lot less noticeable on my part, because I wouldn't care as much. And anytime there was, like, an attempt to try and get me in trouble, you would see somebody in my corner, and I wouldn't even care if they cursed out the manager, because it would be like, well, hell, I'm underage, and I'm living with people who actually care about me, rent free, so I don't need this. I can survive without it. Go ahead, burn the place down, whatever. Metaphorically, of course, but just as an example. I'm not kidding. Sometimes I could just, like, imagine. It's like, oh yeah, there was this woman that agreed to go see a movie with me, and then she stood me up at the last minute, and then, uh, still got mad at me for being mad at her. This is my grandpa. He's like, seems to me she can't make up her mind. And then my grandma, if I were you, I wouldn't even look at her. I just couldn't imagine working there, that, like, during that time period. Things were so different. 16 or 17. Oh, let me do my recital of when I found out that they were having her take out the trash. one of the best moments of working at that place in the last like 7 or 8 weeks. I had no contest. It's perfect. Oh, I didn't even read your last comment before the LOL. Yes, staring at the phone is so rude. Seriously, imagine you're eating at the table and suddenly when you're speaking to her and she pulls out her phone. Yeah, and I am not used to that type of stuff because as I mentioned before, when I have people around me that I actually want to talk to, I don't use these stupid devices. Um, unless it's in service of that person, like, hey, can you look this up for me? Um, like maybe they're watching TV, I'm on the phone or computer, but if they're like sitting there looking at me, speaking directly to me, I'm not going to be staring at some device. I'm not joking. I almost want to make like an alternate universe comic where I like started working there 10 years ago and just like some of the same stuff would like it would be a lot easier for me to get in trouble over supposedly messing with chicks back then because it's like you know uh the more like lesser experienced teenager that kind of sees all these different varying degrees of attractive women and sort of wants to say something or gets maybe like a crush on a few of them, whatever. But even then it's like I still wouldn't be stupid enough to put my hands on anybody. I think I mentioned that the one with the nose ring about a week or so ago, she put her hand up like this, and I didn't even like take because I didn't immediately like register what that was. She was trying to give me a high five or whatever, which it's really funny to think about her 2 months ago and saying you're pissing me off or whatever. Then now trying to congratulate me for some assistance of her, and I just didn't take it because like that's how paranoid I am about these chicks now, where anything can be twisted and turned into you're this big predator monster. So I didn't even take it. I just let her put her hand out. I kind of looked at her. I was kind of confused, whatever. And then she explained what it was, and I was like, "Oh, I'm serious." Like she's had quite a character arc. She says hi if I say hi to her. She has been smiling. Again, put her hand out to like high five me for whatever thing I did, and I didn't immediately pick up on what it was. Then when I realized what it was, I was like, "Oh well, I'm glad I didn't touch you." I'm telling you, man, that thing with her has destroyed any perception I had of the chicks up there being capable of benefiting me in any way. Like when I talk to them, all I see is a bomb about to explode. They're always looking for a way to get somebody in trouble, to have you destroyed, and you just can't trust them. That I should change the stream's name to that. You just can't trust them. It's true. I really thought as long as you don't touch anybody, you should be fine, but no, she made it that way after all. I make this point in the video and I will make it to you right here because that's how much it bothers me. How do you, in the span of 24 hours, go from seeing somebody outside and then trying to sit by them to trying to get them fired? It doesn't make any sense to me. But like that's why I said there's so much malice that just it's like flipping on and off switch. They just instantly shift to despising you. And I'm telling you, man, after I confronted her and I told her I don't have any recordings of you, I will give you my phone if you don't believe me. She treated me like she would sit other places. She would only speak when spoken to. She acted like I reported her. And it drove me nuts. And then it all came to a head during the March 23rd massacre. MSQ at her finest. Yeah, trying to get me in trouble was her crowning achievement. Like, you don't get more mixed signals than Sunday night. What are you reading? And then Monday afternoon, he made me uncomfortable. Just in less than 24 hours. And I kept making that point to this guy. I said, if she ran in that place and reported me right after that argument, I would be more understanding, because it's like a heat of the moment thing. She went back to working that night, then went home, and then had a whole night to think about she was going to get revenge on me, and then went in that office or called up the number and tried to say that I made her feel whatever type of way. And after her BS allegation didn't go anywhere, I tried to sit there and talk to her. This is her. Can you please drop it? With the smile. Can you please drop it? Wouldn't even look at me. I figure if somebody's going to sit there and get reported by me and try to have my back, um, I would at least do them the courtesy of explaining, like, why did I feel as if I had to do this to you? But again, you're dealing with people with no morals, no standards, no ethics, just parasites, lying parasites, walking, talking poison. I'm not protecting her anymore. I kept this thing to myself for that whole duration, right from when it started with the, like, if I mentioned, I always like cut the name out. Uh, I'm not anywhere near as concerned about concealing it, because I feel like if you can try to have me destroyed by telling the job, oh, he did this to me, then I shouldn't have any concern for what people think of you. I'm really devastated by this betrayal, and I just have to keep reminding myself they don't care. You're nothing to them. I'm serious, man. Not as The only people who in real life who knew about what happened between me and her were people who didn't work there. I told my friend. I told this one of my relatives. No one that worked at that place ever had her identified by me until very very recently. So it was like 2 months. I would go up there. I would say, "Oh yeah, this thing happened with this coworker." And people would ask, "Who is?" And I keep saying, "I'm not saying. I'm not saying. I'm not saying that. I want to start a civil war, right? Me against them. You siding with them, most likely, because they always take the side of the triangle." But at this point, I just don't care anymore. I'm not spreading any rumors or lies. All of this is true. Retaliation. Retaliation was her trying to get me fired after getting mad that I said, "This is stupid. I'm done with you." I feel like such a fool, man. Like, I told the lady, I said, I don't want her to get in trouble over this. I'd rather we just speak. I tried to just handle this like adults, but this is not an adult. This may be a person who is adult age. They might have a car, they might have a job, one that they can't be bothered to show up on time for half the time, but that's besides the point. But even with having those things, they don't act like a functioning person with an adult brain. They're like this. What they did was the equivalent of when a child runs and tells the teacher, oh, this other student made fun of me, so when. Um, she is a cowardly because she can't directly confront me about stuff that she has a problem with. Uh, Sadistic person, a cowardly sadistic person. Oh no, rather a passive aggressive cowardly person. Like I said, will never directly confront me and say, "Hey, how come you haven't spoken to me in a month?" Mm-mm. That's more proof that you mean nothing. Like just as quickly as they can be fine with you talking to them to be completely fine with you not talking to them anymore. They don't give a damn about you. So I said every time they come up here singing that song of "Oh, we're friends," don't believe it. Too many lies, man. I tell you, they really want to turn this into a comic book. Like I was supposed to just keep asking her, "Are you busy Saturday?" and have her say, "I'll let you know," and just every week same thing repeating itself nonstop. God, man, sometimes you just I don't know. There are periods where I think it was TV Tropes has a thing called Yank the Dog's Chain where it's like a character it'll look like things are getting better for him and then it's like pulled back like I got you. I really thought when she agreed to go see that movie that hey, you know what, this is nice. I think I haven't smiled bigger there before or since, at least relating to that job. And I was excited. I was happy, right? Uh, it wasn't some bragging right thing for me. I was just glad that I could possibly do something with someone there that's not just let's clock in and stare at whatever for the next couple of hours. So that's why I say it's like yanking the dog's chain because you normally don't even feel like going and trying to put yourself out there in this way. And the one time that you do, it's with someone that you've had a previous. It's not like you just approach some random lady off the street. It's someone that you've been talking to for at least a month, um, and she just completely turns out to be a total and utter liar slash idiot. And you had no way of knowing most of this stuff until you dipped your toe in the water and got stung. I said, thank God she's as dumb as she is. Otherwise, her report might have been effective. When that lady played when that lady called me, I said, okay, let's say I'm bothering this person. Why would they come and sit by me? How do you explain that? But man, that betrayal just it hits. And I really thought after she made the report, hey, we can talk about this. We can, if I hurt you, right, I can We can address this. Nope. Can we please drop it? Like I said in the train wreck, her and the other one can go to hell. They want to sit here and treat me like trash and then define. I think like it's funny. One of them gets to report you and then tell you to drop it or like that she doesn't want to talk about it, even though she could have cost you your job. And then the other one wants to, unfriend you to where you can't say anything directly to her anymore. But then she also wants to control if you make a video about her. And then after you get blocked by her for making that first video, then she wants to control the fact that you made a second video. It's crazy, man. Like they want to just dominate everything, That's not the way it works. People don't get to just decide, I'm going to treat you this way, and I'm also going to control how you respond to being true. No. If I want to pull out, if I want to quit that job and pull out my phone and call every single person there and warn them about her, I'd have the right to do that. And some of the guys I do warn. I don't say the name. I'm like, hey, look, be careful about these chicks here. They're out for blood. And it doesn't matter what they say, what way they look at you. It's all for show. Like I said, same person smiling at you on Monday, knife to the back on Tuesday. Louis, do you have anything else left to say so I can go and get my damn coffee and go to sleep? I extended this so I could speak to you. You got an extra 100 minutes. You have any final comments, thoughts, theories, concerns? I appreciate it as always for staying longer when I arrive. Well, I just tried to inform you of all the shenanigans. This job has been really interesting, seeing all the crazy characters. I definitely am looking forward to when you put out that video. Yeah, it should be. The script is like 90 something percent done. I didn't get to record it because that's when everyone else started showing up and I didn't have like a place I could go. And there's some stuff said in there that I don't want them to hear. So, it was like a recipe for disaster. Um, but I hope the shifts today and tomorrow that include her don't go crazy because some tells me she has something cooked up. I don't know. Maybe I'm finally out of the woodworks with her. Um, like I said, I don't bother talking to her anymore. I gave up after the massacre, but it's you never know with these people. They're always looking for a way to worm their way back. But I don't think she will because, like I said, she's cowardly. She's cowardly and she's apathetic. So even if she cared enough to talk to me, which she doesn't, she is too cowardly to like directly say something. That's why she had to run to the teacher. But yeah, I should be back on Monday. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. And have a good rest of your weekend. I doubt I'll have a good one, but I forgot I can't tell the truth. I have to pretend to be positive. I doubt I'll have a good one, but it is what it is. So see ya.